Visit humanappeal.org.uk or call 0161 225 0225.
When bombs rained down on Iraq and Afghanistan, when famine swept across Ethiopia, we were there. When floods and earthquakes destroyed Pakistan and Bangladesh, when genocide gripped Bosnia and Darfur, and each time lives were taken in Gaza, we were there, saving lives. We've been at every major emergency since 1984, and we're there now, in over 40 countries worldwide. Donate to Islamic Relief and save a life now. Islamic Relief, saving lives since 1984.
Build your brand with the best DAB station. Call us now. 0116 220 1352.
Rahma Mercy have been working in the Balkans since the war in 1999. Over the years, Rahma have been running many projects from orphans, masajid, madaris, iftar and Gurbani. Visit our website on www.rahmamercy.org.uk or ring us on 0116 251 6959.
Right now, Syrian refugees are risking their lives and the lives of their children just so they can live in peace. This is all happening right now. Now is the time to say stop. Now is the time to say this can't go on. Now is the time to give. Visit humanappeal.org.uk or call 0161 225 0225.
Reed Foundation has been supporting young lives in the developing world, helping them go to school and build a brighter future. We've been helping orphans, educating children, building and renovating schools. The only way we can continue is through your support. Support Reed Foundation today and help transform young lives for the better. Call 03000 121 121 or visit reedfoundation.org.uk.
You are listening to LRB Digital. It's live, it's real, it's the best.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, or well, good morning, sorry, my apologies. You're in the studio today with Davina Kanani, and I am joined today with the Penny Appeal team, and we're talking about adoption and fostering. So this actually is the first episode in a series that we're going to be doing about adoption and fostering, and I'm joined in the studio today by Nadia Rasool.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
And Hafsa Iqbal.
Assalamu alaikum.
So alhamdulillah, we have been privileged enough to have them on the show, inshallah, and they're going to discuss with us some more things about adoption and fostering, and we're going to kind of dispel some myths and sort of talk a little bit more about the general information that I think everybody, all of us, but should be knowing about adoption and fostering, and why it's so important now, and what the initiatives are surrounding it at the moment nationwide, and how we can get involved and benefit from everything like organizations like A Penny Appeal are doing, inshallah. So Nadia, I'm going to pass it over to you. Do you want to talk a little bit maybe about the sort of aims of the initiative and objectives that you guys are looking to achieve?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Nadia Rasool. I'm also part of the Penny Appeal Adoption Fostering team. So just to set the scene, there are currently 70,000 children in care in the UK. And obviously, you know, that in light of that alarming number, and also in light of the freedom of request information that we sort of attained back in September 2015, which sort of revealed that 3,000 Muslim children in care, of those, 50% actually are placed into non-Muslim homes. And also there's a lack of Muslim foster carers and adopters in the community. So we are trying to raise awareness of the need of more Muslim foster carers and adopters. We've got a quite comprehensive project in place. In fact, we are partly funded, by the Department for Education, and we currently have been touring Midlands. So we've been quite aggressively have a presence in 13 cities at 17 venues. At local mosques, community centres, and we've also been delivering khutbahs after Jummah prayer to raise awareness of this course. Now, the actual entire project is quite comprehensive, and it consists of 6 strands. And obviously the community engagement recruitment events is one of them. The other one obviously is the production of an Islamic guidance document, just to educate people about how it's important that we as Muslim take a responsibility and have a duty of care on a humanitarian level, and also just dispel some of the misconceptions that are associated with the legitimacy and the virtues of adoption and fostering. The third, obviously, very key important part of the project is the academic research that we're conducting in partnership with Coventry University and Currumbag. Currumbag is the largest voice for professionals and agencies in the UK that deal with adoption and fostering about safely regarding the safe placement of a child, a child into a home. So we're doing lots of quantitative research to understand what the barriers are, particularly with the Muslim community, and understand also from qualitative and quantitative research, why these Muslim children are ending up in care and what the causes of this are. So the fourth thing that we're also doing is training professionals. So our social worker Tay Jiba, who's the lead on this project, she's going to be delivering anti-discriminatory training to social care professionals, just so that everyone has the opportunity. So those that are making these decisions, have an understanding that Islam is a way of life, and that it's important that we understand the child's needs. So the fourth element of the project, obviously, is the impartial referral process. Now, this is unique in its kind. So we're offering a free assessment to anybody that's interested in becoming a foster carer or adoptive parent. And we're offering a free advice, free assessment. And what we're doing, we're putting you in front of 600 providers in the UK. Now, the beauty of this, no one else is offering this service, and it's impartial. We've got no partnerships with the local authority or the agencies. Our main purpose is to serve the child, to ensure that the child's needs are fulfilled, and their better matching can be achieved. And so we're offering that. The fifth, obviously, aspect of what we're doing is the identity boxes that we're doing. We're also going to be, doing some work on offering or donating gift boxes to Muslim children in care to help with their identity and their and also to be appreciated by the Muslim community. And it's important. We've got such a comprehensive project. We need the Muslim community with us to engage with us, and help us achieve the raise of awareness that is needed to tackle this current problem.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
So Hafsa, for me, I think one key thing that I've found so far, especially from the discussions I've had with Nadia and the information she's given me, is that why now? Why is the local, why is the DOV, why are they all of a sudden come up with this initiative, and are funding this sort of initiative in organisations like Penny Appeal? Why now? What's the importance of it?
Yeah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I think what's important, it's an excellent question. It makes sense because in reality, as I say, the reality of it is that children have been in care in Britain for as far back as we can think. So why now? I think it's just about the fact, and it boils down to the fact that now, in the last couple of years, because the project has been running actually for a couple of years, we've just been, as you've mentioned, as Nadia's mentioned, funded by the Department for Education since December, but it has been going on since 2015, and that's because there was someone, and that was our manager, all credit to her, who had the strive and the initiative to say, actually, this is a problem, we need to recognise it, and she recognised it. There was the Freedom of Information request that was taken out, which is, for anyone who doesn't know, because to be honest, I didn't know what that was either. It's quite a fancy term for someone who's not sort of in the social care system. It basically is a statistical analysis. So it's basically information that you get from statistics about the nature of the children that are in the care system. So they did this request, this statistical analysis, if you will, and it basically flagged up the problem, as Tay, from her own experience, had sort of suspected that lots of these children, in the Midlands alone, we're talking about hundreds within the Midlands alone, so I'm not talking about the whole of the UK, are probably from Muslim backgrounds. The thing is, because the government doesn't say that a local authority has to write down or record the religion of a child, but they do place an emphasis on the ethnicity of a child. So we kind of, it is a case of sort of not guessing, but taking educated estimate as to what the religion of the child is. So if they're Asian Pakistani, chances are they're Muslim, for example.
Yeah, or Arab, for example.
Exactly, or Arab, or Somalian, or and the list goes on.
It's a legitimate guess that you could make that there is more of a probability they would be.
And it is legitimate, and it's used. Yeah. And so we had this initiative started by our manager who saw that this is an issue and it needs to be recognised, because it actually hasn't been recognised or anything done about it in a holistic and organised fashion yet. So that's why the initiative was started. But the problem, you're right, Davina, has been around for a long time. But I think the Muslim community, from my perspective, for someone who's worked in the Muslim community for a long time, and you have as well, Davina, because I know you have, we've had a lot of issues within the community, whether it be, you know, X or Y. We're not going to get into that, that's not what we're talking about. But I think slowly but surely, as we develop, as we grow as a community, more issues are coming to light, but more issues we're trying to tackle them. And this is, again, another one I feel like it's begun to be tackled. It should have been a long time ago, but at least we're doing it now. Definitely. And that's what Penny Appeal are trying to do. We've seen the problem, we've recognised the problem. Alhamdulillah, someone's had the initiative and the drive to start it. Definitely. So we've been brought on board just to kind of to drive that home and really do something about it, inshallah.
Yeah, I think here at LOB, like, we're very, we're very enthusiastic about raising awareness about adoption and fostering. And I know last year another radio presenter actually did an entire show about adoption and fostering. We were lucky enough to get 3 families on board after raising awareness. But I think I guess for me, why I took this sort of project on and I wanted to bring you guys in and sort of create this series was because of the fact that I actually have personal friends of mine who were in care, and they came from places like Afghanistan, Iraq, a long time ago. And they came, and alhamdulillah, a couple of them were put into Muslim foster families, but then a few of them weren't. And I can see that they, for them themselves, they have lost a part of their identity in some way, shape, or form. And it's really important, I guess, in terms of fostering and adoption, that we try to keep as much of the child's identity intact as we can. And that does, and religion and where your ethnic background comes from is massively important to that. I mean, we talked about languages and trying to facilitate that languages should be a facilitator for the adopters and the person who's being adopted, but language is not the only thing. There's so many more important things. I mean, Nadia, for me, one of the things that you said was that Tay is going to be, your manager is going to be doing anti-discrimination training. So I just wanted to sort of talk a bit about that, because why is that important? Like, for me, I don't quite get the link between that. If that makes sense.
Sure, I can elaborate on that aspect. In fact, what it is, social workers who obviously are making these decisions may not necessarily be aware of the certain aspects of Islam, why a Muslim child may ask for a prayer mat, why a girl is wearing a hijab, what the concept of mahram is. So it's very important that we're all on the same page, particularly these professionals that are making these decisions about matching this child, that they're fully aware that we are fulfilling the child's needs. And so it's just educating everybody, educating the professionals, the ones in the powers, of course, as well, who go in and doing these home visits, so they can make a more of an informed decision, and to try and make sure that the matching is maximized, so the child is placed in a home, so that they're speaking the same language, they're eating the same diet, is halal, for argument's sake, and that their way of life is similar. So it eases in the child, it settles the child sooner, and this, we feel as though, will lead to more successful adoption cases and more secure and more successful fostering placements.
Inshallah. So I mean, one of the things that I think is like it is linked to all of this, and I think it really underpins a lot of the initiative and exactly why it's relevant and exactly what we're doing about it and why it really makes a big difference. But I think the key question, and I know this is not going to be something that either one of us, any of us, are going to be able to answer directly, because there are multiple reasons. But like, I don't know, I'll pose this question to both of you in the sense that I know a lot of people would be asking the question that, Hafsa, you mentioned that potentially there's quite a number of, children in care that are from a Muslim background. And I guess the key question a lot of people are going to ask is, why do they end up in care, and what is their sort of backstory in majority of cases? So, I mean, I'll pose it to both of you and you can split it between you.
I think it's a good question, and in reality, I think going forward with the project, that's definitely something that needs to be tackled. It needs to be, if I could choose something we could expand on. I mean, Nadia, mentioned about all the things that we do currently, but I think this is something definitely that there needs to also be work on. It's prevention, and let's stop children from going to care, and that really boils down to educating families. I don't think, I may be wrong. I hope someone from the audience will chime in and correct me. But Muslim children going into care is not really probably, a lot across the board, and for different reasons than any other child going into care. And children go into care for a whole host of reasons, whether it be, in extreme situations like abuse or neglect or all that kind of thing. So I don't think they're specifically different reasons. Okay. Children are children. Yeah. And what children need, whether they be from Muslim background or non-Muslim background, is love and care and security. And when that's removed or that's not in place, that's when social services unfortunately have to get involved. And I think that's the case across the board. Yeah. But I definitely think that we must as a community also expand this project and other project, because there's capacity for many actually in trying to educate our communities as well as the broader community to preventing children going into care and understanding that this is okay and this is not okay. Definitely. Within a household.
Yeah, just to add on to obviously what Hafsa said quite rightly, sometimes obviously it's unfortunate circumstances, sometimes some things are out of our control. Like for arguments, if a child is an orphan, in that case, it's beyond any human's control. But as I said, we are doing more research into understanding why these Muslim children in care are rising. The key factor as to why this work has become more of an emphasis and why DFE have funded it is that there's a rise. Back in September 2015, there was only 3,000, but a recent results indicate that this is rising to 5,000 to 6,000. So there is a rise of Muslim children in care. So we need to better understand this in a united manner as a whole ummah, and we have a duty to why this is occurring. And as Hafsa quite rightfully said, we need to prevent this or try and put some proactive measures in place.
Definitely. Would you say that the sort of research that's being done, in regards to adoption and fostering, would you say that is an area in which they could expand that research into sort of prevention and, finding out the reasons why and tackling those reasons?
Oh, absolutely. And this is one of the reasons why I think we may have got the funding from the Department of Education. The academic lead from Coventry University has got a track record, and she herself has adopted. So she's got first-hand experience. And she understands it very well, and the key factor is, we need to better understand and need to better educate the community in order to put in, to lobby this information to policy, makers, so that moving forward we're in a position to resolve the problems that we're facing.
Definitely. Would you say that sort of these initiatives target not only just raising awareness, of course, of the general public, but would you say that we're also trying to target, Ofsted and local authorities to really get actively involved in helping these initiatives and raising awareness, but not only that, but to push them to consider religion as something that is important when placing a child in care? Is that something that...
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely the academics that are working on the research at the University of Coventry, it is one of their aims and objectives to, lobby for religion to be recorded, because, we're talking about identity. When we talk about children going into care, from what I understand, when we talk about children going into care and Muslim children going into care, when they go to non-Muslim families or families from a different cultural background, It's not that those families aren't, providing wonderful care and stability and love. This is not there's no discrimination in this, that people across the board, foster carers, are wonderful people, generally speaking, and they obviously want to help children. But in regards to identity, in regards to personal growth and development of children, whether it be as children or when they grow and they're older in life, it really does make a massive difference to be surrounded with people. It's already traumatic enough that these children, if you put yourself in their shoes, it's already traumatic enough that they're taken away from their biological families and the people that they've only known. No matter how safe or unsafe that situation was, it is their family, and for them that is the pinnacle. That's why they want to be. So now they're removed because they need to be, and it's traumatic enough, and then to be put with effectively a whole different world, it's unfair. And we totally recognise the fact that a 7-year-old is not going to be saying, to his foster parent, can I have a Quran? I want to pray. I want to read Quran.
It's traumatic enough.
Exactly.
It doesn't. Out of
and also,
family.
7-year-olds tend not to do that. Do you know what I mean?
It's not something that's at the forefront of their mind.
Exactly. And it's not really about that, but it's about understanding the subtle traditions and things that they're used to. As subtle as they are, there are certain things that come with religious background or a cultural background that would ease that traumatic experience for the child. Very, very simple things. Like having similar foods, for example. That's not deemed, we're not talking about the halal thing, but just having similar foods that they possibly would have eaten with their biological family. That is that'll be a comfort and emotional thing for them. And it's subtle things like that need to be recognised, and we hope that the government will recognise them eventually, because without recording it, how are we going to be able to match appropriately as professionals? And I think that's where we're hoping this project will be a vehicle to that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Nadia, any thoughts? Or did Hafsa say it all?
No, I think she said it all. And, it's just a matter of providing those facts to back up what we're saying. The research is being done for that purpose solely.
Yeah, definitely. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a break. Inshallah, and then when we come back we'll discuss a little bit more about sort of misconceptions and about qualities that people are looking for in people who want to adopt and foster. So join us after the break.
You are listening to LRB Digital. It's live, it's real, it's the best.
In Somalia, Amina is losing her strength. She's walked miles with her baby in the hope of finding aid. Now, she realizes there is none. Now is the time to say stop. Now is the time to say this can't go on. Now is the time to give. Visit humanappeal.org.uk or call 0161 225 0225.
When bombs rained down on Iraq and Afghanistan, when famine swept across Ethiopia, we were there. When floods and earthquakes destroyed Pakistan and Bangladesh, when genocide gripped Bosnia and Darfur, and each time lives were taken in Gaza, we were there, saving lives. We've been at every major emergency since 1984, and we're there now, in over 40 countries worldwide. Donate to Islamic Relief and save a life now. Islamic Relief, saving lives since 1984.
Build your brand with the best DAB station. Call us now. 0116 220 1352.
Rahma Mercy have been working in the Balkans since the war in 1999. Over the years, Rahma have been running many projects from orphans, masajid, madaris, iftar and Gurbani. Visit our website on www.rahmamercy.org.uk or ring us on 0116 251 6959.
You are listening to LRB Digital. It's live, it's real, it's the best. Broadcasting live on DAB. Directly on you. Join in the conversation now on 0116 212 9324. Text us on 07450 925 084. Join us on social media, LRB Digital. Download our app, LRB Digital. Listen to us online at lrbdigital.co.uk or email us at studio@lrbdigital.co.uk.
Right now, Syrian refugees are risking their lives and the lives of their children just so they can live in peace. This is all happening right now. Now is the time to say stop. Now is the time to say this can't go on. Now is the time to give. Visit humanappeal.org.uk or call 0161 225 0225.
Reed Foundation has been supporting young lives in the developing world, helping them go to school and build a brighter future. We've been helping orphans, educating children, building and renovating schools. The only way we can continue is through your support. Support Reed Foundation today and help transform young lives for the better. Call 03000 121 121 or visit reedfoundation.org.uk.
You are listening to LRB Digital. It's live, it's real, it's the best.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning / nearly afternoon. Welcome back to the show that we're doing today, which is the first episode of a series on adoption and fostering. So I'm joined here today in the studio by Penny Appeal and their team, and I'm joined in the studio by Nadia Rasool and Hafsa Iqbal. So before the break, we talked a lot about why this initiative is so important, why adoption and fostering and raising awareness is incredibly relevant to our time right now, and what the government is doing at the moment to try to help raise awareness about this, and sort of understanding a bit more why this is so much more relevant for the Muslim community. So what I kind of wanted to talk about now is just the major misconceptions that a lot of Muslims and also non-Muslims have about adoption and fostering, and like, how are these being tackled by this initiative? Like, how are these being, addressed, and what exactly do you guys come across on a regular basis?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, sure. Definitely, there's a level of quite a few misconceptions that arise when we talk to, we deal with inquiries on a daily basis. I think we need to also make it quite clear that fostering is a professional carer's job, and adoption is when you actually become the legal guardian, and they're two separate entities. We need to make sure that this is common knowledge and every human being understands this. That's the first thing that I want to clarify and plug to everybody. The second misconception, I think, lies with the unaccompanied asylum-seeking children that come into the UK. A lot of people, or particularly some of the things that occur in the media, can also be responsible for this, is that I think people tend to come to us, can I have a baby from Syria? It's typical things like this, and it's sort of rather alarming and concerning, and I just want to...
I'm sorry, you could look at my face, why would you go up to somebody and ask that question?
Sure.
Someone's not going to come and give you a baby from Syria. There's a lot more to it than that.
So my answer to that question is, can I make something clear that, these children are unaccompanied, and we don't have a location or even consent from their biological children as about what we can offer them. All we can do here is offer them, a foster care placement. And even then, these children have specific needs, and it's not as easy. And I also want to address that there's enough children in the UK here that we also need to be thinking about that need of families and homes, and why such urgent interest to just these Syrian refugees. You know?
Definitely. I mean, would you say that there's a real sort of drive for a lot of people to look internationally to help children as opposed to locally?
Yeah, I mean, to go off what Nadia said, I think one of the biggest things that I get sort of on a weekly basis is someone ringing and assuming that what Penny Appeal are doing is have set up an agency. That's not what Penny Appeal have done. Penny Appeal are a registered charity, and our project is to work impartially, just really as a vehicle to helping the community understand the situation. And Nadia pointed out a lot of the misconceptions, the big misconception really, and then to go forward and help them and aid them in their journey to becoming a registered carer. Big misconception is that if I put my teeth in. A big misconception is that about unaccompanied children from war-torn countries. Most people assume that because of the media, possibly because of the images that they see, and they come with good intentions, and no one can knock that. It's a wonderful thing that people want to do. But the children, most of the children that came over to this country, Most of the children that came over to this country were not babies and toddlers. They were older, generally boys who, you know, came over alone, away from their families, and they are the ones that need carers. Another misconception, as well as people not understanding sort of difference between adoption and fostering that Nadia's mentioned, another one is that the Islamic side of things. So people are more inclined, I found, towards adoption because they think that's kind of almost more halal, for lack of better words, and people have notions about fostering. So, you know, I get it a lot, to be honest. I usually am at the events that we hold, and I get it, me and my colleague Jamila, we get it a lot where it's, you know, is it permissible to foster a boy if the boy is, older than the age of, X? Yep. If I adopt, do I have to breastfeed the child? We get a lot of, do I have to wear my hijab? Are these children even, I got asked a couple of days ago actually, they're not considered yatim because they do have parents, they're not orphans. So Islamically, how can you, apply the same principle for yatim, etc., etc.? I think they're huge misconceptions.
Definitely.
And we are at Penny Appeal very, very proud of the Islamic guidance document that's being worked on, because all of these issues are tackled not only in depth, but in a very clear and concise way. We have scholars that are working with us at Penny Appeal, and we are incredibly proud of that, and that will be available also. If anyone wants to, they can get in contact with us, and it'll be available soon enough. And I think misconceptions, a lot is based around Islam, and a lot is based around, as Nadia has mentioned, who the children are.
Yeah, and where they come from.
Exactly. And in reality, it's wonderful to want to help a child that's come from a war-torn country.
Of course.
But in reality, a traumatised child is a traumatised child, and sadly we have enough of them that are British born.
Yeah.
And we need people to come forward and being open to look after those children, because children are children, and all of these children need stability. Yeah. And no one of their pain or trauma is worse than the other.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
can't trivialize anyone else's difficulties, especially with children.
Absolutely.
Everybody takes their trauma and their difficulties in different ways. Just want to give a quick shout out to one of our listeners who just texted in saying they're a foster carer, and they want to just say that we do need Muslim carers, as there are Muslim kids in care in places like Leicester, for example. And that's why I think Penny Appeal especially are they're out there raising awareness. And if any other audience members who are listening would like to join the conversation and wants to put in any input or ask any questions or have any comments, then please feel free to text or call us. Our call number is 01162129324, or our text and WhatsApp number is 07450925084. So please feel free to join the conversation. We're just carrying on, really, to be honest. So I'm really happy to see that we have somebody who wanted to get involved. Thank you very much for your message, and you're absolutely right. To me, I think that's one of the massive misconceptions that I had initially was, adoption, fostering, what is the Islamic side of things, alhamdulillah, I guess you do have to think about these things, because we're talking how religion is so important, not just for the child, but obviously for ourselves. And we do have to think about these things. And, and the fact of the matter is that when organizations such as Penny Appeal are doing the legwork to run around and get these opinions from these scholars and give Islamic guidance on something like adoption and fostering, then we can understand that actually there is a massive backing from the Islamic scholarship side of things, and that within itself should give people more confidence to get involved and raise awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just permissible, it's highly commendable. And the fact that we've, the creme de la creme Islamic scholars to get a wide, broad spectrum of opinion and expertise, just solidifies the fact that there should be no doubt, if anybody wants to come forward, that you'll be doing the most honourable thing that any humanitarian person can do.
Of course, I mean, providing care in any way, shape or form is a form of sadaqah in reality, because it's something that you do as an extra deed for the sake of Allah. And I mean, one example in my mind, and this, I'm gonna put it out there, I'm not an Islamic scholar. Alhamdulillah, I've had the opportunity to study my deen, and that's enough for me. But one of the key examples I find from the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the story of Zayd ibn Haritha. Like, he was a servant of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but his father came for him. So he had a parent. He had a parent right there. There was no such thing as that he didn't have somebody there. But he chose to stay with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him that love and care that he deserved. And okay, it's not as extreme as the circumstances that we talk about of children in care now, but that is one prime example of the fact that he had a parent. There was no reason why he couldn't go back to his father. But the fact of the matter was that the love and care he was being provided was something that he knew he would never get elsewhere. And it was something that he wanted to be a part of, if that makes sense. And if we can provide these homes for Muslim children who are in care now, then you couldn't imagine that they would reciprocate tenfold what kinds of things that you do for them now when they're children, when they're older, if that makes any sense. So we talked a little bit on misconceptions. So one thing that I wanted to talk about, and I think this is going to be a bit of a big topic, is just sort of the qualities that are being looked for in people who are looking to adopt and foster. So people who are looking to be adopters and be fosterers, what are the qualities that make them a good adopter or a good fosterer? What should they be thinking in themselves? What should they be aiming for? What are their sort of profiles, if that makes sense?
Yeah, sure. Ultimately, obviously, they must be able to provide a safe, loving home that is appropriate for that particular child. Every child has unique needs. They should obviously have a spare bedroom. That's quite important. Good health. And the requirements for adoption and fostering are different. And adoption obviously is a necessity that the parents that are financially stable, they should be able to offer security, love, nurture, and care that every child deserves to flourish. And inshallah, I think you have to have the good intentions in the heart that you're actually making a difference to the life of a child. And people, those that obviously who adopt and foster, and some of the testimonials and insights that we hear, they say that Allah sends them blessings, and they feel that their life is further blessed and enhanced once they fulfill this deed.
Definitely. Yeah. Would you say like it takes like a clean intention, like a person, somebody who's really pure in what they want to achieve? Is that something that you're looking for when it comes to?
Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, there's always the practical criteria. So there's two sides of the coin, really, in that there's the practical criteria, particularly with fostering space in the home. You can't, as I've heard many fostering professionals say, you can't foster in isolation. Everyone in the family has to be on board, whether it be your spouse or your partner. Your biological children that perhaps still live with you, anyone who comes into contact with the whole family on a regular basis, they have to be on board. They have to understand the nature of what it is that you're going to do, and they have to be sensitive to the fact that children, I'm talking fostering now specifically, there are going to be children who are going to come in and leave the house, and then others are going to come in. That it takes a certain amount of fluidity. You have to be a very flexible person. In terms of your job, if you're working, you need to arrange for it to be a bit more flexible. So things like that, because these children, you might have to get a call in the middle of the day, it's an issue or whatever it is. So that's a kind of practical thing. But as Nadia also touched on, I think it takes, from a personal standpoint, it takes a person who's incredibly caring, a person who's incredibly nurturing. I always say it takes a certain type of person to be a foster carer. Definitely. It really does. You have to be a very, very giving person. You have to give a lot of yourself to the situation, if that makes sense. Yeah. And there are wonderful people in this world, but they're not necessarily going to be the best foster carers, and that doesn't, there's
nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's not for everyone. No. But I think it takes a certain amount of just love and care and and flexibility in a person. So I think that's what it is. That's really covers it all. But there's no one set rigid kind of profile either. You get a whole host of different types of people and people from different backgrounds. Just someone who has that love and that nurturing is willing to give.
Alhamdulillah. And I think capacity as well to like sort of really be, you know, flexible and ebb and flow with different children who are going to come in and out, because obviously not every child is, you know, a delight, and not every child is a nightmare. You know what I mean? You're going to find ones that are amazing, ones that are a bit harder, ones that take a little bit more love and care to sort of nurture. And you know, you find that with children, because they're so variable, that, you know, the fosterers and adopters have to be variable, and they have to realize that there are different children, and that there's not an idealistic sense of what kind of child they're going to get, that they have to be prepared for everything, and they have to be prepared for anything. And that means that, you know, I mean, I'm sorry, but I love naughty kids. Like, I'm like one of those weird people, and my mom, it's because of my mom. My mom loves naughty kids, so I love naughty kids. But, you know, and the thing is, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with, you know, knowing that you're not going to get your ideal child in adoption and fostering. You know, it's not going to happen. But the fact of the matter is, you have to have that capacity and that tolerance for knowing that, you know, if you want to be a parent to anybody, whether it be your own child or someone else's, that you have to have that patience, you know, patience and capacity to really do so.
And the other point that I've just remembered, which is also quite important, the parents or the foster carers must have moderate level of English. Particularly because it's important that you know, parent or that foster carer is able to fulfill that child's needs. So those that who do want to foster and adopt, and perhaps English is not quite there, and we have come across numerous cases of this nature, I do urge that we try and enhance our chances of becoming approved by, you know, improving, enhancing our skills.
Definitely. Because I mean, if you think about it, in reality, like what a child needs is not just someone to love and care for them and nurture them, but also to look after them. And, you know, that means that, you know, if anything, you know, schools, for example, healthcare, for example, all those things, you know, you have to go out into the world and deal with them. And that means that you need to have a decent level of English to be able to handle teachers and opticians and doctors, and etc. So I think definitely that's a really key thing. One thing that I think, Hafsa, you mentioned, which I think for me anyway resonates quite personally, because I had a roommate in university who was she was the biological daughter of a woman who fostered, and mashallah, like, not Muslim, but they had, you know, she talked to me about Muslims that they had fostered, and like, seriously, mashallah, when I say this family, like, you know, just mind-blowing. And she was obviously the biological daughter of the woman who was fostering, but her experience with fostering really opened up so much more of the world to her, and she became even more tolerant and even more understanding towards people because of the fact that her mum was a fosterer. And the thing is, I think a lot of people do get this sort of misconception that, okay, you know, my children might not be okay with it, what happens if something happens. Obviously it's a concern, but I think in the long run, and I think generally on a general basis, they become better people from the idea of fostering and having other foster children being cared for by their parents, because not only do they see from the parental aspect, but they as a child can really develop bonds and relationships with children they never would have ever experienced and seen. I don't know if that kind of resonates with you guys.
I mean, definitely. I have a friend personally, actually, and it reminds me, what you've said reminds me of that, in that she's a foster carer. She's been a foster carer for over a decade now. And I remember at the start of her, she would tell me about the start of her fostering journey. She kind of said, I only really want to look after young girls, you know, me and my husband, I think that's what we're going to be best at. And sort of a decade later, she says, Hafsa, and I go to her house sometimes, it's quite funny. She says, Hafsa, actually, I only foster like teenage non-Muslim boys. It's really, it's completely gone full circle. And I said, like, what happened? Like, what was that about? And she said, you just grow and you just realise what is needed from you as a person and what Allah capacitates you with. And obviously. I think and what both kind of scenarios have told us is that it really is a journey of growing, and you really do become, whether it be the biological child of the foster carer, the carer themselves, and hopefully the children that come through into the home of the carer. It really is about growing and expanding, and you must learn. And it's only really difficult situations in life that we really develop from.
Of course.
And I think that that's really what you've mentioned, is that it served as a great learning for this girl who's grown up and is obviously a wonderful person, as you've mentioned.
Yeah.
And I think that although foster carers, as you've said, not all children are, you know, sunshine and rainbows, obviously, but then our own children aren't.
No, exactly.
To meet some of the kids in my family.
Yeah, trust
So
me.
I think it's about really just taking it for taking it for what it is, and seeing that this, and really the basis of the Islamic guidance document as well, is that this is about the greater good.
Yeah.
It's not about the immediate, oh, I'm going to get a warm fuzzy feeling. It's not,
Yeah.
obviously it's not about that. We're not going to lie to you and say it's about that.
Yeah.
But it's about the long term and the bigger picture, and
Where
that's
the
what
need
we,
is
a Penny
greater.
Appeal, are trying to do. Look at the bigger picture.
Definitely. I mean, going off the back of just that, would you find that, I don't know, in your experience of sort of, you know, how you've dealt with people who are looking to adopt and foster, would you say that in different sort of aged children, there's a difference in what their needs are and what kind of, you know, background they've come from, that their needs are different based on that, in terms of what their needs are in fostering and adoption?
Yeah, I mean, like most... Sorry, Nadia, do you want me to take this?
Yes, you go for it, Hamza. I'll add on anything.
I've jumped in there. I thought,
Go for it.
terribly rude.
I like
of me.
that.
No, it's conversation. We ebb and flow.
I keep forgetting I'm on the radio. But yeah,
Because we talk so much like this anyway.
we
Like,
just
this is
have
just
chats.
natural conversation for us.
Absolutely, the
It's
best
fine.
way of communication, natural.
I think with all children, it's the same with any child. At different ages, at different stages, they need different things.
Yeah.
And it's about that flexibility again with the carer.
Yeah.
If you're adopting a child, another thing as well, we've talked a lot about fostering, but with adopting, I think one thing that probably most agencies and local authorities would, you know, really say hurrah about this, is a point that I'm going to make, is that most people come forward and say, oh, we'd like a child as young as possible.
They do.
And unfortunately, and I understand totally why people do, from a Muslim or non-Muslim background, I totally appreciate the sentiment behind it.
Yeah.
But I think from a professional standpoint, we need carers to come forward and say
Not
that
practical.
want to adopt.
Yeah.
You know, we're willing to adopt a child who's 3. We're willing to adopt a child who's 4, 5,
Yeah.
6. These are still
There's more of a
very
need,
young
yeah.
children. There's more of a need in that regard. And sorry, to go back to what I just needed to make that point, because it's something that we talk about often in the office.
Definitely.
But yeah, just like any other child, at different ages, at different points in their life, at different situations and scenarios that they have just come out of, they're going to need different things. And again, it's about that fluidity, about being flexible, like you say, about flowing with the situation. And really, you have to really, I think, from a lot of foster carers that I've spoken to and I've gained from, and you know, their experiences, it's a lot of you just have to you have to sometimes change yourself, you have to compromise, you have to do things different, you have to be willing to have a very fluid lifestyle, really.
Yeah.
But you know, that's a given, I would have thought. Because
Yeah.
you know, because you must, and it does. Foster carers must come from a place of whatever is in the best interest of the child.
Of the child.
Sure.
You know?
And just to add on to that, you actually can specify the age group that you want to adopt to foster care in your application. And yes, during the age, there is different needs. And so therefore the matching that is conducted takes that into consideration, and also takes in consideration if that prospect also the applicant has their biological children, what age gaps they are and what the sex they are as well.
Yeah.
So and as Hamza quite earlier mentioned, that it's not just about placing that child with that parents, it's placing that child in the whole family. It's a whole family affair.
Yeah.
And so so the answer to your question is yes, every age group has a specific need.
Yeah.
And hence why we record that in the application.
Definitely. So we talked a little bit about the differences between adoption and fostering, and I think it's really key for a lot of people to understand a lot more about what those key differences are. I mean, from what I can sort of understand, I mean, legality obviously, you know, is a massive thing. Obviously, I know Nadia mentioned that when you adopt, that you become the legal guardian of that child, and therefore all of the needs of that child have to be met by you and you alone at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Whereas with fostering, I guess it's a little bit more catered for families who obviously do not have the capacity to take
the
on a
local
child
authority
like that.
would be legally responsible for that child if the
Okay.
child's in care. So they would have to give permissions for certain things.
Okay.
So we need to make sure that everyone knows and is aware of that as well.
Okay, so in terms of the process, I'm assuming for adoption is a lot more vigorous. It's a lot more, you know, because obviously you have to vet the parent a lot more than if it was just fostering, because obviously in some capacity, I guess the local authority take some responsibility for the child and fostering, whereas in adoption, the entire responsibility then falls down to the guardian.
I would say it's equally intrusive, simply because due to safeguarding, a child's life, whether it's temporary care or permanent care, is still going to be, there's a matter of risk associated with it. And the matching that is done tries to match such that the risk is minimised. Yeah. So the whole process is thorough and quite rightfully, you know, this is someone's life we're dealing with. Of course. And safeguarding, as you know, it's you know, a measure that's put in place by, you know, by the governments, the higher powers, to protect that child. And adoption fostering is always about the child. Remember that. It's about placing that child in a home and not placing a home with the child. We must remember that too.
Definitely. I think that's really key. So I think we're just going to take a short break. And what we'll do is we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about this difference and sort of the support systems that are in place for adoption and fostering, inshallah. So please join us after the break.
You are listening to LRB Digital. It's live, it's real, it's the best.
In Somalia, Amina is losing her strength. She's walked miles with her baby in the hope of finding aid. Now, she realizes there is none. Now is the time to say stop. Now is the time to say, this can't go on. Now is the time to give. Visit humanappeal.org.uk or call 0161 225 0225.
When bombs rained down on Iraq and Afghanistan, when famine swept across Ethiopia, we were there. When floods and earthquakes destroyed Pakistan and Bangladesh, when genocide gripped Bosnia and Darfur, and each time lives were taken in Gaza, we were there, saving lives. We've been at every major emergency since 1984, and we're there now, in over 40 countries worldwide. Donate to Islamic Relief and save a life now. Islamic Relief, saving lives since 1984.
Build your brand with the best DAB station. Call us now. 0116 220 1352.
Rahma Mercy have been working in the Balkans since the war in 1999. Over the years, Rahma have been running many projects from orphans, masajid, madaris, iftar and Gurbani. Visit our website on www.rahmamercy.org.uk or ring us on 0116 251 6959.
You are listening to LRB Digital. It's live, it's real, it's the best. Broadcasting live on DAB. Directly on you. Join in the conversation now on 0116 212 9324. Text us on 07450 925 084. Join us on social media, LRB Digital. Download our app, LRB Digital. Listen to us online at lrbdigital.co.uk or email us at studio@lrbdigital.co.uk.
Right now, Syrian refugees are risking their lives and the lives of their children just so they can live in peace. This is all happening right now. Now is the time to say stop. Now is the time to say, this can't go on. Now is the time to give. Visit humanappeal.org.uk or call 0161 225 0225.
Reed Foundation has been supporting young lives in the developing world, helping them go to school and build a brighter future. We've been helping orphans, educating children, building and renovating schools. The only way we can continue is through your support. Support Reed Foundation today and help transform young lives for the better. Call 03000 121 121 or visit reedfoundation.org.uk.
You are listening to LRB Digital. It's live, it's real, it's the best.
The BBC has made public for the first time how much its top presenters earn a year. Chris Evans tops the list, earning more than £2.2 million annually, with Gary Lineker earning £1.75 million for presenting Match of the Day. Two-thirds of the names are men, with Claudia Winkleman the highest-earning woman, getting around £500,000 for Strictly Come Dancing. A major clean-up operation is taking place in Cornwall. It follows flash floods overnight. 2 people had to be rescued by helicopter. Forecasters say yellow weather warnings remain in place across parts of the UK. It's claimed localised flooding is possible throughout the day. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull says he's seeking answers from American authorities after the fatal shooting of a Sydney woman in Minneapolis by police. He's described the death of Justine Demond as inexplicable and shocking. And 2 handwritten manuscripts found following a clear-out at an amateur orchestra in New Zealand are being confirmed as pieces written by the British composer Gustav Holst. That's the latest from Radio News Hub. I'm John Francis.
When you hear a PPI commercial like this, you think, I wonder if I ever did have PPI, and maybe I should claim with the deadline being announced. And then you think, oh, but I'm not sure where my paperwork is. So you end up doing nothing. Well, here's the easiest thing in the world to do. Just text the word EXPERT to 60777 and the claims guys will conduct a free search to discover if you ever had PPI. And then you can decide to pursue the claim yourself or get the claims guys to do it for you. Text EXPERT to 60777 now.
The Claims Guys. You are listening to LRB Digital. It's live, it's real, it's the best.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. Yay, we're in the afternoon. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so you're joining me in the studio, Davina Kanani here, and we're in our first episode of a series about adoption and fostering. So I'm joined in the studio today with the Penny Appeal team. So that is Nadia Rasool and Hafsa Ikbar. So just before the break, we talked about, we talked a little bit about the misconceptions of adoption and fostering, especially surrounding, Muslims and Islam. We talked about, what kind of qualities are being looked for in people who are looking to adopt and looking to foster. And we talked a bit about the differences in terms of what children need and how we can go about supporting that. So, we talked about adoption and fostering and the differences. So you mentioned that both sort of processes are same in terms of their thoroughness, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So what is it that is in most need, like at this point in time, and how does that differ in terms of if adoption is what is most needed, why is it that most needed as opposed to foster care, if that makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to take it, Hafsa?
Yeah. Sure. I think what you're asking is what is most needed is individual and bespoke to the child.
Okay.
Obviously, adoption offers permanency, but then again, so does long-term foster placement does as well. So it's only fair to say that it depends on the child.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And who is that determined by? Like, how is that determined?
Yeah, it'll be obviously whether it's better suited for that child to be cared in a foster care placement. It will be determined by obviously the social services, the government. A whole panel will sit in place, looking at the child's history, looking at the child's behaviours, the states of mind, and so their psychological, their psychological, mindful needs, they are fulfilled effectively in a safe and loving and nurtured manner. So yeah, it's a whole host of people that make that decision to make sure the right decision is made.
Okay. And in terms of sort of, just to chime in terms of pure numbers, that when Nadia quoted the close to 70,000 children that are in the care system, the vast majority of them are actually foster placements. Okay. Because and so it is a minority. It's still thousands, to be honest, but are waiting to be adopted because they're younger. But if you think about it logically, these children are growing up in care. When they get to a certain age, sort of 8-ish, sometimes younger, they're not really eligible anymore to be adopted, because I know it's as horrendous as it sounds, they're just deemed too old to be adopted. Okay. And so they go into foster care. So you can imagine constantly children are going over a certain age and going into foster care placements. Definitely. The vast majority of children in care are foster children, and therefore we need more. If if you're very, very black and white about it, more foster carers are needed, actually speaking. But that doesn't mean that we don't want people to come forward for adoption. We absolutely need people to come forward to adopt children. But in terms of pure numbers, majority of children are in foster care.
Okay, That's good. I think that's good for a lot of people out there to know, because obviously, you know, I think a lot of people automatically assume that the best option is adoption.
Yeah.
But in reality, I guess from what you're saying, it would seem that for a lot of kids, it might be fostering that might actually be a lot easier.
It all depends on what the child's, what is required, what is needed.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to fulfill.
Definitely.
So all we're doing is presenting the facts and the applications forward so those decisions can be made and the matching can be done effectively.
And adoption is permanency is always the best option for the child. But if we're looking practically, if a child is, you know, too old in inverted commas, and they're not going to be, you know, go forward for adoption because, you know, they've got up to a certain age, then we would just hope for permanency in foster care and not, you know, instability in that. And obviously adoption is the best option, as you say, Davina, but it's not always a practical option. We've just got to work with the situation that's at hand.
Yeah, inshallah. So that leads me on to sort of the next thing that I wanted to talk about, which is obviously if you're looking to adopt and foster, you have to look also at, you know, what is out there for you in terms of, you know, what support there is there for you as a fosterer or an adopter. And, you know, are there support systems in place for people who do eventually go into adoption and fostering, and sort of what does that support entail?
Yeah, there is support. Obviously, training is available as soon as obviously you're registered to apply for fostering and adoption. More obviously support is available for the foster care placement, foster caring situation, due to the local authority still having that responsibility. So other financial support is also available to a foster care placement. In terms of other supports, a child will have their own social worker, the family will have their own social worker. A social worker will always be at hand. And so therefore, you know, you're not alone in both options. You know, there is support there, and you've got to try and maximise this opportunity to, you know, up your skills to better prepare you to foster and adopt. But if anybody needs to know any more details, they can get in touch. You know, they can contact Penny Peel. They can call us on 03000 111111, or if people prefer the email mode of communication, they can email us at adoptionandfostering@pennypeel.org. And they can visit our website, which we are currently, you know, updating at www.pennypeel.org. So I'll repeat the number again, just so that people can assimilate the information. Do contact Penny Peel if you want to know more, or if you've got any specific questions on 03000 111111.
Great, thank you. To be honest, if you seriously do have any specific questions, and there's any information that you really desperately would like to know, that, you know, someone in Penny Appeal can definitely help you with, then please contact them by all means. If you want to get involved with the show, if there's anything that these guys can answer for you now, then please get in touch with us today. But otherwise, you know, definitely get in contact if there's any specific questions that you have about anything that we've talked about on the show today. One thing that I actually, you know, it just sort of popped into my mind just as we're talking about, you know, support systems, etc. One thing for me, just as a wonderment, you know, I'm, you know, alhamdulillah, I'm a young person and, you know, recently married, alhamdulillah, and you know, what is the, I know this sounds like such a strange question, it's really seriously just popped into my mind, but would you say there's more of a need for youngsters, like young couples, young families, to get involved in the initiative of adopting and fostering?
Well, obviously, the fact that a good health is a requirement, and normally, you know, logically speaking, younger couples will be of better health. So yeah, you know, it will help matters. You know, and we need, obviously, that will logically sort of be a better option.
Yeah.
So we'll welcome younger couples as well. If you're interested, what I urge is that you learn and come and speak to us, so we can try and enhance your chances of becoming approved. You know, and the thing is, you may not necessarily be ready yet, but we can certainly advise you on how to better, you know, prepare yourself and how to enhance your chances of becoming approved adoptive parents and foster carers.
Yeah, because obviously I think one thing for young couples is that, you know, they, of course, alhamdulillah, they have, inshallah, they'll have their own family of their own. But at the same time, they know that they're not going to be able to do it alone, kind of thing. I guess when you're a little bit more established and maybe your children are a bit older and you don't have so many things that you need to worry about on a practical daily basis, that you might feel a little bit more at ease taking on something like fostering or adoption. But when you're young and you just, you've sort of just started a family, etc., I guess, there would be worries, wouldn't there, as to the support that you would get.
Yeah, I think we at Penny Pill, what we do is that, practically speaking, not only do we offer information, we have our events, and we have one coming up in Leicester actually, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but what we also offer is just the support that people need at the beginning stages. Because what we found is, as a team, I think all of us have kind of had chats with people who've said, they've done a Google search, they've thought about it, they've had, musing, they've heard something, read a poster for, something to do with adoption and fostering, thought about it, done a little Google search or whatever, and then it's not really come to fruition because there's just so much information and bombarded.
Yeah.
So what we try and offer at Penny Appeal is just a service whereby you can just ask even the most basic of questions. Trust me, I've had the same questions at some point. I've heard every question under the sun, as has the rest of the team. So just ask a question, come to our events. We have one in Leicester. It's this Saturday, the 22nd. It's at the City Retreat in the city centre. It's 4:00 till 6. Come, please join us. I'll be there with our colleagues, and we're going to have, with Nadia actually, and we'll have information, we'll have professionals there. You can come and have a chat to us face to face. It's a very personal thing. Often people want to come and have a, face to face conversation, which is totally understandable. So do join us this Saturday. And we offer the information that people might need, the guidance people might need. Obviously, we have the Islamic guidance. People often have questions about that. And then, practically speaking, we're all trained to do a very basic assessment for you. We'll do the assessment. It can be over the phone. We're based in Birmingham ourselves, but we can do it over the phone for anywhere actually in the country. We'll do the assessment. We'll have it approved by our social worker that works on our team that we mentioned earlier, and then we'll do the legwork for you effectively. So this is how we're practically at Penny Appeal helping. We'll do the legwork in that we'll send that to the best Ofsted rated either fostering agencies or adoption and local authority by default. We'll send it off, and once we hear back from them, we'll connect you with them. Now, this seems like a very simple thing, but this referral system is unique in that we're doing it completely independently and completely impartially, purely just to help people not get stuck at the first hurdle, which is what I was talking about before.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's just about helping people onto the ladder, onto the process, because sometimes it is the very first hurdle that's the hardest to get past. So that's what we at Penny Appeal are doing. So I would urge people, if you've ever thought about it, come and have a chat with us. You're here in Leicester. We'll be here on Saturday. I love Leicester. I'm a fan of Leicester, so I'm excited to be here on Saturday.
Me too. I'm excited to have you.
4 till 6 p.m. at the City Retreat in the city centre. Please do join us, even if you've just had a thought about it, and we'll be able to help you, whether it be just answer some questions or actually book in the assessment for you.
Definitely.
I'd just like to add on to your question about the age. Obviously, you have to be over 21 to apply.
Okay.
And of course, it's important to have experience of caring children. So they would only probably approve, obviously, if you're under 28, if you've got a vast amount of experience with children. So yes, it's good health is important, but you also need to be at a mature age, over 21. So obviously you're still a child in the UK law system until you're 21. And have experience with children is vital.
Yeah. Stability as well is also something that a lot of people are looking for.
Yeah. Sure.
And you need to be in a stable position yourself to be thinking about something like fostering or adoption.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely. I mean, for me, like I've definitely thought about this, and because I have, alhamdulillah, I have some really great members of my family over in America who got heavily involved in fostering and adoption, and they actually have like a little boy who I will share this with actually on Facebook, because not little anymore, he's like 13 now, but little Zaid, who drives me crazy. drives me crazy, seriously. But he's such a good kid, mashallah, and like just to see that, you know, the family benefits so much from his presence, and you know, mashallah, they just seriously took it in their stride. For me, like, it's always something that I'm always thinking about for myself anyway. Inshallah, one day I'll get to a point where I can, inshallah, act on it. You know, hopefully my husband's not listening to this, and this is a conversation we'll have another time. Some of you are listening, and we'll talk about this. But yeah, you know, to be honest, I think for everybody, if you really seriously have had any inclination whatsoever to anything to do with children and care, even if it is, you know, not necessarily you yourself adopting or fostering, but even just getting involved with initiatives like what Penny Appeal are doing, or like what us here at LRB are doing in terms of just raising awareness, getting the word out, then please, you know, feel free to contact either LRB or, you know, Penny Appeal in any way, shape or form. So I'm going to move it along a little bit just to sort of tackle a big question that I think, you know, we spoke a little bit about on the break, which was, is this really focused a lot on the Muslim community, or are we actually trying to develop this this raising awareness in other communities, and why is it so relevant for us as Muslims?
Yeah, sure. So the impartial referral service that Penny Appeal's offering is available to anybody. Any you know, person living in the UK of any, you know, religion, background, religious background, any ethnicity. We're offering a free of charge initial assessment to give you some feedback as to, obviously, whether we feel as though, you know, you've got the some of the qualities that we are seeking. So no, it's not limited to the Muslim community, although we have special focus and special measures in place for the Muslim community. And I also want to emphasize the reason why there's been a particular focus in engaging and reaching the Muslim community within our project is that we've been specifically asked by the Department of Education, because Penny Appeal as an organisation is better equipped to reach to the Muslim community. So therefore, we've been chosen and selected to try and engage, which other maybe you know, bodies have failed to engage with. And it's the power of Penny Appeal, you know, the UK-based charity that's operating in 30 countries, that has been selected to effectively engage and deal with some of the issues that concern the Muslim community.
Yeah. But by no means whatsoever is this just limited, though, to the Muslim community, is it?
Not at all. I mean, those 70,000 children cannot possibly just be helped with the Muslim community of Britain. So it can't logically happen.
No.
We need carers across the board. There is a lacking of carers across the board.
Yeah.
The only reason that we are, as Nadia says, focus in our engagement with the Muslim community is because Penny Appeal is well equipped to do that, but also because we can only do, it's in a sense, just one community at a time, you know. At this point, we're looking specifically at the Muslim community because we have the, you know, we have the capacity to do that, and we know that there's a need, an increasing need. Muslim children have statistically proven to wait the longest in care for matching, so that was one of our driving forces also. But as we say, one thing at a time. We do not discriminate in any sense in regards to the initial assessment. Anyone is more than welcome to give us a call and we will do the initial assessment. We need carers across the board. We just had the ability and the capacity to focus on the Muslim community. It is a need, and so we're tackling that. But you know, again, anyone who's listening, any background at all, if there's anything that we can do to help, we are more than, we need you to come forward, really, we do.
Yeah, and I also want to offer, emphasise that we're the only organisation in the UK that can refer you to all adoption and fostering agencies in the UK. We don't charge the applicant, we don't charge the provider. Our main mission as a humanitarian international charity is to solely bring justice to that child.
Definitely.
You know, and that's what our focus is.
Which is really needed, to be honest. So I'm going to, as much as I don't want to get controversial or throw anything out of left field at you guys, and honestly, if you seriously feel like you can't answer the question, then that's fine. But just to make it interesting, you know, and this is something that here at this radio station, we're trying to keep it real with everybody. You know, it's real. That's the first line of LRB, is that we're like, you know, we're live, we're real, we're the best. You know, because the thing is like we also have to look at the fact that does the lack of Muslim carers and Muslim fosterers, does that affect the amount of children that are left in care then? And then on the opposite side of that, that's one question. The opposite side of that, is there any, I wouldn't say necessarily evidence, but is there a suggestion or a suggestive approach that perhaps Muslim children are left in care for longer because of their background? Does that make sense? I don't know if you want to tackle the first question first or second question, whichever.
The point that I want to make, and then obviously I can sort of carry on, is that the barriers are greater for the Muslim children, and it is harder to place the Muslim child. It's because obviously the needs are unique, and we need to obviously address that to the social workers, as I said earlier, and understand as a nation that. Or better understand more so what it is that is about. What are the barriers? How can we resolve those barriers? And if we can place any child into a home, it is fantastic from a humanitarian perspective. But as I said, the reason why the focus is on the Muslim child, it's harder to place the Muslim child currently. That's the state of affairs.
Yeah.
So does that answer the question in a way?
Yeah. But then the question, the other question is that, is it because they are Muslim that they are left in care for longer? Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, I'm trying not to get into this whole of, any type of discrimination in any way, shape or form, because I don't want to, I never want to stereotype the British people because that's wrong. And I feel like we're much more tolerant than we give ourselves credit for. But in reality, is that kind of what is going on?
I understand your question, and I agree with you wholeheartedly about we don't give ourselves as much credit as we should, because we do live in, alhamdulillah, a very tolerant society on the whole.
Yeah.
Is there a discrimination? No, I would say that's not what the statistics are pointing towards.
Okay.
The reason why Muslim children are waiting longer in care to be matched, with the best matching, is because there's a lack of Muslim carers.
Okay.
And it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
The statistics are indicating that children are waiting longer simply because there are less people of ideal and appropriate matching for them. Mm. And so, I mean, we had a chat with many professionals to base everything that we did on the facts and the real life on the ground situation. And I spoke to a professional from a certain local authority who quite openly admitted that 70% of the children in their city who were from Muslim backgrounds, assumingly through the profiles that they had of them, were going to non-Muslim families. Mm. Again, at this point, I would say that's not us saying, oh my God, shock, horror, it's the worst thing in the world. No, they're offering stability and that's what the child needs.
Yeah.
But it's not the best.
Yeah.
It's not an ideal situation, because either immediately or later in life, these children will develop identity, or could potentially, very, very possibly rather, have identity issues because of the instability that they've experienced, and the fact that they've gone from one world to another.
Definitely.
And they've not necessarily been able to deal with that in the best way. Mm. So I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. Definitely.
Sure. I just want to share some facts that may shed light on what you're trying to sort of address. 50% of children in foster care, they actually are placed in a non-Muslim home. And it's not just Muslim, it's the ethnic minority children that wait twice the amount of time for adopters. Law has changed since 2014, so children can be placed with any ethnicity. We know same-sex white British carers have adopted Muslim children. This is inappropriate matching, but that's the best available at that time. So we need to enhance the matching.
Yeah. That's actually, to be honest, that was probably the best answer you guys could have given me, to be honest. I knew what the answer was, obviously, in my mind. I know that. Obviously my question was just to prompt you, because the thing is, I think it is a massive deal that people realise that it's not the children, it's the people who are there to look after them. That is what the key audiences that we're looking for to engage with, is that it's them who want to care and who want to foster and who have that innate desire to do so, that they should come forward and they should really get themselves involved, because to be honest, it is that matching process that makes such a big difference to that child. And the fact of the matter is that if there's not enough adults to match the child with, then we shouldn't be really, no offense, we shouldn't be surprised that these children go into non-Muslim families, you know.
I mean, if I can give you an example, we know of Muslim children who've gone to same-sex couples, who've been fostered and adopted actually by same-sex couples. Now, this is of no judgment to anyone, any carer of any description.
Of course.
Wonderful people, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But this is an inappropriate match for the child because of where the child's come from, and then where they end up. It's a different world. And for that child, and again I stress that this is purely about the child and not anyone's own personal opinions or sort of leanings.
Of course.
But for the child, this could cause massive confusion in their mind about, you know, what they've learned, what their situation is, and then going forward.
Of course.
So it's just one example. There's many examples, and it really is about, you know, what is ideal in that situation.
Definitely.
So I mean, you could discuss it endlessly.
Yeah.
You really, really could discuss it endlessly, whether it be the Islamic side of things, from a sociological perspective, from a psychological perspective for the child. It could be just discussed endlessly.
Yeah.
And what a Penny Appeal are trying to do is just tackle it one thing at a time, you know. Just simply trying to raise awareness as we're doing through, you know, platforms like LRB, which, you know, we're very grateful to, you know, to be here, alhamdulillah, but also through our engagement events, through our Islamic guidance, our work with scholars, our work with professionals. You know, we're just trying to one thing at a time.
Of course, definitely. So I think we're going to take a quick break, inshallah, and we'll talk a little bit more about this topic and a couple of other things we just want to engage you with after the break. So join us after the break.
You are listening to LRB Digital. It's live, it's real, it's the best.
In Somalia, Amina is losing her strength. She's walked miles with her baby in the hope of finding aid. Now, she realizes there is none. Now is the time to say stop. Now is the time to say this can't go on. Now is the time to give. Visit humanappeal.org.uk or call 0161 225 0225.
When bombs rained down on Iraq and Afghanistan, when famine swept across Ethiopia, we were there. When floods and earthquakes destroyed Pakistan and Bangladesh, when genocide gripped Bosnia and Darfur, and each time lives were taken in Gaza, we were there, saving lives. We've been at every major emergency since 1984, and we're there now, in over 40 countries worldwide. Donate to Islamic Relief and save a life now. Islamic Relief, saving lives since 1984.
Build your brand with the best DAB station. Call us now. 0116 220 1352.
Rahma Mercy have been working in the Balkans since the war in 1999. Over the years, Rahma have been running many projects from orphans, masajid, madaris, iftar and Gurbani. Visit our website on www.rahmamercy.org.uk or ring us on 0116 251 6959.
You are listening to LRB Digital. It's live, it's real, it's the best. Broadcasting live on DAB, directly on you. Join in the conversation now on 0116 212 9324. Text us on 07450 925 084. Join us on social media, LRB Digital. Download our app, LRB Digital. Listen to us online at lrbdigital.co.uk or email us at studio@lrbdigital.co.uk.
Right now, Syrian refugees are risking their lives and the lives of their children just so they can live in peace. This is all happening right now. Now is the time to say stop. Now is the time to say this can't go on. Now is the time to give. Visit humanappeal.org.uk or call 0161 225 0225.
Reed Foundation has been supporting young lives in the developing world, helping them go to school and build a brighter future. We've been helping orphans, educating children, building and renovating schools. The only way we can continue is through your support. Support Reed Foundation today and help transform young lives for the better. Call 03000 121 121 or visit reedfoundation.org.uk.
You are listening to LRB Digital. It's live, it's real, it's the best.
The BBC.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. Welcome back. So I am Davina Kanani and I'm joined in the studio today by the Penny Appeal team. That's Nadia Rasool and Hafsa Iqbal. And we're talking today about adoption and fostering. So this is the first episode of a series of episodes we're going to be doing about adoption and fostering. And we've talked a lot in this show. Alhamdulillah, we've had quite a good opportunity to really hash out a lot of key things. So we talked generally about general information about adoption and fostering. We talked about the differences between adoption and fostering. We talked about why this appeal is so important for Muslims and in the Muslim community, but it's not just limited to the Muslim community, but because the need is greater that we have to really engage with the Muslim community. We've also talked a lot about adoption and fostering and what the qualities are that people are looking for, and we've highlighted that Penny Appeal have some really great information and really amazing initiatives that they're doing within this appeal itself to be able to help anybody who's interested in adoption and fostering. So I think that's kind of where I want to go with this sort of final segment, which is just to kind of talk about what it is you guys are doing on the ground, like practically what it is that you guys are engaging with, what kinds of people are you looking at, what kinds of events and how have those events gone and what exactly those entail.
Yeah, so we, alhamdulillah, have over the since March till November, we've had a host of events. I mean, between 20 and 30 events actually. And these were based around the whole of the Midlands. So we went from Leicester, Nottingham, Derby in the East Midlands to Birmingham, Dudley, and sort of everywhere in between also. So we covered a lot of ground. We've been to most places, a couple of, sometimes 3 times, and we continue to do so. Our event on Saturday, this Saturday in Leicester, is actually our second of the year. We will have a third because we have, alhamdulillah, you have such a vibrant community in Leicester, and there's just so many Muslims that, we thought we couldn't cover it in just 1 or 2 events. So we have a third also in October. But this Saturday's event is, and I'll give it as an example because it's kind of the same structure with all our events. Okay. And we found, alhamdulillah, that it's proven to be, a place that's quite, casual. It's not a lecture. We're not giving lectures or anything like that. But we come as a team to explain our project and our initiatives and how we can help and how we can answer any questions. We then have people from the mainstream agencies there and sometimes the local authority adoption and fostering teams. We try and have at least one representative from a professional capacity for adoption and one for fostering, if not more. Sometimes we have several. Then everyone, including ourselves, usually myself and my colleague Jamila, who are working specifically with community engagement, we explain Penny Appeal, our project specifically, what we offer, what we aim to do, and how we want to help people. We then take any questions. So whether it's about Islamic guidance or anything like that, we then offer answering those questions. Then we have our professionals come up and explain the process. So you'll get all of that when you join us on Saturday, inshallah, but they'll explain more detail than we've gone into today. The process, the application process, the matching process, and so forth. Training, all of that, they'll cover it. They can also the floor is the audiences, you can ask any questions. And alhamdulillah, particularly in Leicester, I remember we have we don't just want people who are potential applicants. Everyone from the community is welcome, and I say that because we've had the brother or sister message Davina, yourself obviously, and say they were a foster carer, we need more carers, etc. We would love to have people like that for the engagement, so they can share their experience, so we can start and have these wonderful discussions as a community. Because I think something that I have learned, particularly with working on the ground, is that first things first, it's a discussion we need to have. Yeah. It's a conversation we need to have. So everyone is more than welcome, whether you just show an interest in the topic, whether you want to adopt or foster, or indeed whether you're a foster carer already or an adopter and you just want to share an experience and help us learn, So that's what the nature of our events. Again, I'll reiterate, it's this Saturday at the City Retreat in the city centre. It's 4 till 6 p.m. Please do join us to get your questions answered. And that's really, we, alhamdulillah, have had just, floods of people come across the board. We've had some events with dozens and dozens of people. And we want to just engage with the community. We want to have those discussions. We want to help people become carers if they have the capacity to do so. Definitely. And our recruitment events are a very good way of starting the process, of getting the basic questions answered, of meeting the team who could potentially be doing the assessment for you. And just generally, sometimes, and I have found it just eases a person because they just think, oh, actually, that's not as scary as I thought it was. And a lot of people have said that to me, actually.
Definitely.
And it's very, very rewarding for us also, that we're just easing people into the process. So that's really what our events are about, and that's the experience we've had on the ground.
Alhamdulillah. So, I mean, for me, like, I would say that, I haven't actually personally been to any of your events. I'm not going to, try and be
we
a
won't
saint.
hold that against you, Davina.
But that doesn't mean that I'm not coming on Saturday, alhamdulillah. No, I'm here this weekend, so inshallah I would love to drop by and actually, the City Retreat do some really great work. So I haven't actually been there, so I would love to sort of, head out, inshallah. And, it's always good for someone at LRB to be around and sort of update the public as well on what's been happening in the communities. Because that's something that we should all be engaging in. Like, these events really need to be engaged with by everybody in the community, Muslim, non-Muslim, it doesn't matter. If you don't necessarily have a specific keen interest in becoming a fosterer or carer yourself, even if you would like to get involved with raising awareness, even if you'd like to get involved with what Penny Appeal are doing, I'm pretty sure they would be more than happy to give you all the deets and all the information that you'd need to be able to go out and sort of help and promote and raise awareness on this initiative.
Of course, the community's got the opportunity to become a volunteer or ambassador or to endorse the work or use their network to spread the word. Ideally, we do want influential people in the community to help us and support us because their voices are stronger. And the fact that we are on the ground engaging, we're not just using events. We've obviously using social media strategies. We're doing leafleting. So we're trying different modes of communication to reach ideal candidates. We've done a whole raft of interviews. Jiva, the expert in this field, alhamdulillah, she's had the opportunity to do interviews in Bolton, London, across Midlands. So we're shouting and shouting about what we're doing across the country, on air, on radio. We've had an article in The Guardian, which we've had a massive response to. So we're trying other, PR and marketing strategies combined with the community engagement and groundwork that Jamil and Hubs are doing to try and better, put us in the forefront of what we're doing and to reach and be available. And I also want to stress that, this level of support and this level of comprehensive initiative that Penny Appeal are doing, at the moment, obviously, it's available until November. After that, I'm trying to raise a sense of urgency here. If anybody does want to come forward and they do have just a slight interest, or they can make a difference, they've got the place in their heart and their home, do come forward, learn about it, call us today, take advantage of the opportunity that we've got in place until November to really, really maximise and reap the benefits.
Definitely. I mean, this is something that is not going to go away, and it's not something that our community can afford to slack on, and ourselves included. We really need to take initiatives for ourselves, and the public can do a lot more than we realise, whether you want to be involved directly or you just want to be involved in terms of raising awareness. I mean, it's all incredibly important. And like Nadia is saying that, this initiative's only running until November. And inshallah, we can only hope that, it's going to continue in some way, shape or form. But in terms of practicality wise, it's not going to be as easy if past November there's nothing from the government and no support otherwise. But that doesn't mean that this is where it stops. That doesn't mean that this is just sort of, something that you can think about until November and then la-di-da, you just wash it away. Like, the fact of the matter is, this is a massive initiative that all of us in every community, specifically the Muslim community, really need to push forward. And I think for me, like, one key thing that I really find amazing about what Penny Appeal are doing is the practicality of providing these free assessments. And one thing I actually wanted to talk to you guys about, because I think this is a massively practical element of what you guys are doing, which is what you mentioned earlier, which was the identity boxes, and how important and relevant they are for these children. Like, if you just want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. The gift box obviously is an opportunity for anybody, you know, regardless if you want to adopt or foster, to make a difference, to touch the hearts of these disadvantaged and vulnerable children in care. And the box will consist of important tools to help them find their religion and understand their religion, so they've got an informed choice to lead their life in the manner that they feel more content. And you know, if they're born in a Muslim home, it's their right to receive that education, to know what it's about, so they feel as though, you know, they're not missing out. And there's fine examples of people that perhaps obviously can benefit from good parenting and a good Islamic education, or good education in general. So you can still make a difference, even if you don't adopt and foster. You can still make a difference in other ways and forms, like becoming a volunteer, becoming an ambassador, to donate towards these gift boxes. And if you want to sponsor, I'm not plugging, I'm being real here. If you want to sponsor this initiative, you know, call Penny Appeal 03000 111111. The more resource and funds we have available, the more we can do. I know the work will carry on regardless. Penny Appeal are very keen and proud of this project. And so, you know, as a united manor, we can do more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a united front is what we should be presenting.
Absolutely. It's so true. I mean, after November, you know, we might not be working in the same capacity as we are in the Midlands, but, you know, alhamdulillah, there will be an expansion, you know, to London, to Greater Manchester. Although we already offer the referral system sort of across the UK. As we say, Penny Appeal are incredibly, you know, proud of the project and want to see it go forward. In reality, we can't stop. As you say, Davina, I think the key point of that is that the issue is not just going to go away overnight. And we have to be, you know, well aware of that. We have to, you know, confront it as a community, as a united community, and go forward together, realising that only by being united and by working together and engaging with one another as everyday people, as organisations, and as our masjids, we have to come forward together as to solve this problem on a greater scale.
Definitely. How important would you say is it for community leaders to be, you know, actively and more proactively involved in such initiatives? Like,
yeah, I mean, working on the ground, I've found personally, and I say it quite a lot, that when we have the engagement from our masajid, so different mosques in the communities that we're working with, particularly in Leicester, you know, alhamdulillah, we've had a Leicester Central Masjid be very, very, you know, proactive and helpful towards us, and we really appreciate that and thank them for that. Our point is that when we have that, we see incredible increase in people engaging with us.
Absolutely.
Because the masjid's platform, you know, it's a beautiful thing, is the home of the community, and it should be a hub of the community for these things, for not just for ibadah and worship, but in reality for these practical things in society as well and in our communities. And we found, you know, when our imams have delivered the khutbah with Jummah prayer, when they've spread the word themselves, when they've told people about it, you know, it's gained real engagement and people have really understood it. And, you know, our imams are our leaders, and when it comes from them, you know, it has a certain weight, as it should do. And so we really appreciate that, and we have had that, and we want to, it's something, platforms definitely that we want to continue using, because when our leaders, our Islamic leaders, come forward and help, it's massively beneficial and really does hit the community harder, and that's what we want.
Yeah, we do humbly request, you know, those that are in a position to have an impact to come forward, you know, to make a difference, you know, and really, even if you just sort of spread the word by word of mouth to your network, you know, it can make, you know, our ethos at Penny Appeal, small, you know, change, big difference. The small change each and every one of us make can make a massive difference, because 1 on 1 with synergy equals 3, not 2. So we need to work together, and together we can achieve much, much more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, like, I don't know how much you guys agree with this, but for me, I think not only is this such an important thing that we can do for the Muslim community, but I feel like it's such an amazing thing that we could do as a form of bridging gaps between communities. And for me, what I mean by this is that it's like a very great interfaith opportunity for community leaders to engage with, for community outreach workers like yourselves who work with Penny Appeal, for example, to not only just engage with the Muslim community, of course, because that's what this whole project is all about, but I think past November, it becomes a situation where we can, of course, continue to raise awareness in the Muslim community, but we can use that raising awareness and those events to really bridge gaps between communities and enforce other communities to understand the perspective that we're trying to come from, which is not a discriminatory perspective. It's more understanding the need for Muslims to come forward and foster and adopt.
Sure, and we've already got 60 Islamic scholars with us working, and that just speaks volumes for itself.
Exactly.
Penny Appeal should be very proud. Those that Teji, but done a fantastic job as well. The CEO Amar Naeem, it's very close to his heart, this project, and I'm sure it is to all of it, every one of us. And the point that I'm making is that we are sourcing and we are, reaching out to the educated who are knowledgeable in this field, to better, educate those that are interested, to achieve the better outcomes. The objective is to try and achieve, good resolutions, the outcome. We always should be focusing on getting more children into homes where better matching is achieved.
Definitely. And I think one thing for me anyway in regards to this is that as we're doing this community outreach work and we're really practically going out and holding these events and allowing people to engage with us, that not only do we want to reach out to people who are interested, Muslims who are interested in fostering and adopting, but I think one key thing, and I don't know if you guys will agree with me, is that we should also be looking to engage those of a non-Muslim background who are already involved in fostering and adopting and explaining to them the relevance of a child's religion and how important it is for them. I don't know, does that resonate with you guys?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's important that we speak, and those that are interested, to those who are actually doing it already.
Yeah.
That's the best way.
Definitely.
You get first-hand experience and insight, because that's really going to, when someone's doing it, seeing is believing. And I'll let Hafsa add on to what she wants to say.
I think absolutely. Just to expand really on what Nadia says, it's true. We learn so much from people who are already carers. I mean, I've had conversations with many carers from different backgrounds actually. And it's what you've said, it's about the common good here, and it is a way of really bridging gaps. And there are so many things that we as a community, as a British people, be it non-Muslim or Muslim, there are things that we, have a common good, and we have a commonality, and this is really one of those issues, and it could be a wonderful vehicle to bridging some of those gaps. So you're 100% right, and we can definitely learn from people who are already doing it, from people who want to do it, and anyone who's knowledgeable or has expertise in the matter. And we like to think at Penny Appeal we brought people, of all, from all those different facets together. We have scholars, we have professionals, we have people from the local authority, Muslim, non-Muslim, carers, you name it. We've had chats with them all, and we've had meetings with them all. So, and I think that's how we have bettered our project and continue to better our project, because it's not just for one group. Really, it's not. This is an issue that we're trying to tackle.
It's a nationwide thing.
Absolutely,
yeah. It's definitely for everybody in the UK to be involved with, because it's not something that is limited in any way, shape or form. And just because I think I love hearing about these things specifically. So I mean, for you guys, are there any success stories, achievement stories, or anything that you guys from any of your events that have I don't know, I love hearing about experiences of people when they're working on the ground, of things that really inspire them and help to motivate them to continue the great work that you're doing. Is there anything that you can maybe...
Yeah, I mean, I think that there was, funnily enough, and I'm not just doing this because we're in Leicester, but it does sound like I'm really trying to win the hearts of people in Leicester, but I swear this is a genuine story.
She basically wants to live here and just be here forever, so...
It's all right.
Just really jealous of the people
It's all right, Hafsa, we've adopted you in Birmingham.
Okay, so, you're more than welcome to transfer between Leicester and Birmingham.
I feel like I do. I come between the two so often. But we were in our last event in Leicester, we had a brother who was a foster carer. He was a Muslim guy, very, very nice guy, and he was a foster carer, and he said that basically he'd fostered, when he first went into it, like the friend that I mentioned earlier, he had a set sort of idea of who, what kind of child he was going to foster, etc., etc. And it turned out that he ended up fostering a young girl who was in her teens, who'd basically gone into care. She'd gotten herself in quite a bad situation, and she'd ended up in care, and basically she'd been ostracized by the rest of the community, and she couldn't find, they couldn't find a Muslim family for her. She was a little bit older. She's not traditionally what you would think, a child. She was some 16 or something like this. So, she was near enough for an adult, but still deemed a child within law. And he said that, after being ostracized from the community, she had certain feelings. Obviously, there was a negativity. She wasn't, happy about, the situation. And he said, we fostered her. She stayed with us for, I think it was a year or 2 years. And her whole life turned around. She got herself out of the situation that she was in. I'm not going to go into details, obviously. Yeah. But she'd got herself out of the situation she was in. She'd gone on to, get an education. She'd settled down, started a family, all of that. And he said that for me, that was one of the most fulfilling stories and situations and I was grateful to be a part of. And the barakah and the blessings that came with it was second to it, because just seeing that girl who, had gone from a very, very extremely poor situation, and, she wasn't in a good place in herself, and she had grown and developed and really come to being, a wonderful, positive contributor to society, settled down, really personally and otherwise grown as a person. He said that for me just was so proud, and we have, and she, although she doesn't live with me, obviously she's an adult now, we still have a great relationship. She contacts us, we visit each other, and I think stuff like that really just makes you think, wow. And he was just like an ambassador. He just came to have a chat with us and share his experience, but I'm so glad he did, because you're right, Davina, hearing stories like that really does make you think, it gives you some perspective, because sometimes, you do have days where you think, such hard work with anything, whenever you're doing any community work, whether it be adoption or fostering or anything else. But it's things like that that just make you think, this is why I do it. That's, hopefully we can help someone to get into that situation, themselves.
Sure. I just want to obviously share, you asked about how, this work can touch people's lives. We've got examples to share. In fact, Sonia, who's our lead volunteer, she obviously was fostered in a non-Muslim home. She now found her religion, she found her religion herself, self-taught, and she's doing very well. She's, studying, law. So it just goes to show, with the right, education, and also the fact that we're training the professionals, that Tay will be teaching the professionals about the needs of Muslim children. We can sort of make sure that these children don't miss out, that they have got, if I was fortunate. I had a very good parenting and good education, and therefore I can see, feel and reap the benefit. I've reaped the benefit. So I wish and I hope that every other child, also receives what they deserve and what they need. So there are real examples of people who are associated with this work, that it touches them so much that they really are making a difference.
Mashallah. I mean, that's really, we want to hear these success stories and these achievements, because in reality we do wonder, adoption and fostering, there's so many great benefits, but in reality when we see it in front of our eyes and we can really talk to people and discuss this with people, it really helps to bring it to life. It helps to bring it right into the forefront of your mind, and you can practically see that. And for me, that's why I think events like this are so important, because and I want to reach out to anybody who is in a position where they have fostered, where they have adopted, of any background whatsoever, to get involved in events like this, to do what Hafsa said, to come and just share your experiences. But not only just that, please get in touch with us here at LRB, because we'd love to hear your experiences, and we'd love to put you here on the radio and get people to, listen to what you're saying and be encouraged to adopt and foster from your stories, from what you've really been able to feed back into us. So please, honestly, if you know of anybody who would like to get involved in our series about adoption and fostering, please get them to get in touch with us at either to call us on 0116 212 9324, or to email us at hello@lrbdigital.co.uk. And if you seriously are, you yourself want to get involved, you want to give your feedback, you as a volunteer, as a foster, as an adopter yourself, please get in touch with us, and we'd love to put you on one of our episodes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it over to Nadia so she can give you a final rundown of the contact information for Penny Appeal. So if anybody does want to get in contact with Penny Appeal, please, I encourage you to do so. Get in contact with them, about this event, about what's going on in Leicester. On Saturday, they have an event, Saturday the 22nd of July. It's between 4 and 6 p.m. at City Retreat in the city centre. Please head on over there. I'm going to be there. I mean, if you want to see me, you want to check me out, you want to talk to me, you want to talk to Hafsa, Bismillah, please come. So I'm going to pass it over to Nadia really quickly.
Yeah, sure. For more information, please don't hesitate to call us on 03000 1111, or if you prefer to email adoptionandfostering@pennyappeal.org. And as I said, we've got a whole raft of events taking place. Do visit our Facebook page, a Penny Appeal Adoption Fostering Facebook page, and we'll be happy to help. We cordially invite you, we cordially welcome you to get in touch with any mode of communication you prefer. Okay.
Definitely. If you guys need anything else from us in the studio today, this is gonna be our final segment, so we're actually gonna come off air now, and this is gonna be goodbye from us. But please get in touch with either Penny Appeal or LRB Digital for anything that you want to get involved with in terms of adoption and fostering. This is not the end of the series, so please stay tuned. We'll be having plenty more episodes, so please keep in contact with our social media on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Snapchat. And keep our website in the forefront of your mind as well. We'll keep you updated on other episodes regarding adoption and fostering. I wanted to thank the Penny Appeal team, Nadia and Hafsa. Thank you so much for coming in. Sincerely, we really appreciate it. I mean, I really wanted to do something like this, and I'm really grateful for my CEO who has backed it all the way through. He himself is passionate, as you saw earlier when you got introduced to him. He himself is very passionate about this, and I hope that we've been able to treat you well, and I hope that you guys will come back.
No, just like Allah, we really appreciate your support, and we need more people to support us as well, and thank you.
Inshallah. Any community leaders, any people outreach workers who want to reach out to LRB to get in contact with anyone to do with the adoption and fostering series, please contact us, and we'll try to put you in contact as best as we can. Get in contact with Penny Appeal if you've got any questions or anything that you wanted to bring up with them. And thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you, Davina, for having us.
All right, take care, everyone. Hopefully we will see you back in the studio soon.
Allah Hafiz.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Assalamualaikum.
You are listening to LRB Digital. It's live, it's real, it's the best.